morning, everybody. Lots of people here already, about 30 in the room, and I'm sure we'll be up to 50 or 60 by the time we get to the middle of this show. But right now, we're being told what to think, and some of it there's lots of news, obviously, with this whole disputing the so-called president-elect, which technically nobody's a president-elect until December 14th, but they keep saying it because they want to make sure it's stuck in your mind. I'm just gonna tell you what's happening. That's all I'm gonna do today. It's Funky Friday on the Morning Night Live. Play the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawg Knight. And stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as PDawgKnight on the internet, and welcome back to the Dawg Knight Channel. It's Friday the 13th. I just noticed that it's Friday the 13th. Oh my gosh. Friday the 13th, 2020. I can't do it. I don't want to be here. I'm scared. It's Friday the 13th in 2020. Oh my God. I was not paying attention. I'd have broke out the scary music today, even though it's Funky Friday. Speaking of Funky Friday, yes, we're going to have Funky Friday music in the background all day long. I don't care I care if you can hear me, but I'm going to try to talk loud enough to make sure you can hear me. And hopefully you can hear the music too. In fact, I'm going to take a little check here to see if it's working on my own. I just want to hear the sound level myself. So if you hear an echo, you just hear an echo. Hold on. I have Funky Friday music in the background all day long. Okay, it's there. Yeah, that's me. What's up, people? Are you ready for the weekend? It's 19 damn degrees in Minnesota on the 13th of November. Maybe that's my Friday the 13th gift. But, I don't care. I'm going to have a good weekend anyway. We're going to figure it out. Although I just found out my wife may be losing her job, but that's a whole nother story. We'll figure it out. Before we get started, though, I'm going to say good morning to the good people of the Morning Night Live chat. Oh, I have this thing on Top Chat. Well, hopefully I'll get everybody here anyway. Good morning to James PFP, who gets the bell. Thank you for being here early. Also, good morning, Black Hebrew Israelite.
That's right.
Nice to see you. Good morning, Richo, my friend from down under. Gamer Valine here early. Good to see you. What's going on? Gamer Valine, I got to talk to you about Arizona. We'll get there. Also, good morning, Sydney Rochelle. Maddie's here, which surely means that Ronan is also in the background somewhere back there. Also, good morning to Gunfox61, my Discord administrator. Oh, and we got the first donation of the day. Freaking-tastic. By the way, let me reset this thing before we get a Streamlabs donation so I can make sure that's done right. Our first donation of the day from the One Who, formerly the One Who Tubes, who says, everyone must see Lynn Wood on Howie Carr. Well, let me make a note of that because I haven't seen Lynn Wood on Howie Carr yet. We'll have to check that one out. Thank you to the One Who, formerly the One Who Tubes. Also, good morning to Big Assassin 80, Jonas Pedersen, Tyler F. Thank you for retweeting the show this morning. If you haven't, you probably will because you always do. I appreciate that. Good morning, DI Freighter Watcher, Zebulon Pike. Let's see, I got James already there. Wikipedia snippet. Woohoo, you're in the heels. Good morning, Green Badger Outdoor. Select a boy.
Yeah, boy.
Also, good morning to Stab Joe Scarborough. You know what? I don't know if I want to be anywhere near you on Friday the 13th. because them knives are they're flashing right now. Good morning to Cairo Alexander. Good morning to I'm just trying to scroll here. I haven't found another name yet. Well, who else is down here? Y'all having a lively conversation. Atheist Icons in the house. The one who already the first donation of the day. Let's see who else we got. F and Matchy. I've learned how to say it. Good morning, F and Matchy. Jonathan Peterson, not to be confused with Jonas Pedersen. Hi, y'all. He says. Good morning to let's see, Robert Lapien. How you doing? Or is it Lapine? I'm never sure. I've been saying Lapien, but then sometimes they say Robert Lapine. Well, it's one of the two. Also, Jesse Leon. How did this skip so far? Good morning, Jesse Leon. Zach to the Future. That's a name I haven't seen for. I don't remember I've seen that name before. Well, tell you what, by the way, anyone who here is new, make sure you subscribe and hit that little bell so you get notifications, or you can follow me on Twitter by it's Gabber Parlor to make sure that when I send them out, you can see those too. Also, Katie did skates in the house. Duncan's in the house, also known as the God Emperor of Duncan. Duck Dog is here. I think I got just about everybody. And let me fix this so I've got it on live chat now. Oh, Scotty Dubs. I missed you, Scotty Dubs. I see you there. This chat keeps jumping, so I'm not sure if I got everybody. Joe Biden's in the house, known as Uncle Bad Touch in the chat. And I think I got everybody. Well, if I haven't, just keep talking. I'm sure that I'll see you here somewhere. All right, so let's get into it because the show today is entitled Nothing to See Here. Nothing to see here. And that may be true or that may not be true. I don't know, but according to the New York Times, there's definitely nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. And we got an article. Now, I watched a video about this article by Viva Fry. And Viva Fry, who is probably much more adept at parsing language than I am, did a fantastic job. But I'm just gonna give you this, and then I'll refer you to him. If you haven't followed Viva Fry, he's a Canadian lawyer who's now a YouTuber who analyzes legal things, and he does a very good job at it. Him and Robert Barnes, and there's a couple, 2 or 3 internet lawyers that I'd like to watch. And he brought me this article from the New York Times that says, wait a minute, what the hell? Where's my desktop here? Why isn't that showing up? Hang on a second. Desktop. No, it's completely blank. What the hell's going on? Hang on a second. Did the New York Times take my channel down? Well, I'll be damned. What? Both displays are not showing up? Let me see something a second here. Yeah, you're getting a blank space. What the hell happened to my desktop? Okay, hang on a second, gang. Something funky's going on here, and it's not just the music. Let's see what happened here. Just a second. All right, we got there. There's the desktop. Okay, give me a second here, gang. Sorry about this. Good morning, Wikipedia snippet. Cynical Lindsay. Nice to see you here. Well, we may just be reading it because I'm not going to be able to put it on the screen. Let's see if any of my other ones are messed up like this. Wow, that is weird. Okay, hang on a second here. It was the Russians, PDawg. Yeah, it might have been. I'm trying to fix it in the background. That's why you can't see me messing around with this. It is Friday. Yeah, it is Friday the 13th. Well, we're going to try something new here. I'm going to have to let me see if I can add another display capture. Let's do this. I'm going to do some, hang on a second. Let's cancel that. Oh, it's not even letting me cancel this. What the hell's going on with my, there we go. try this. Display. Huh. No, it's not the boomer moment of the day. This is just, for some reason. Well, we're just gonna have to read the articles, so you're not gonna be able to see it because I'm not getting any results here. This is annoying as hell. Let me see if I can get a YouTube screen here. Let's try this. Hold on a second. Well, we're going to use this instead. We'll use a smaller screen, so I can at least put it on here. This is really annoying, though. Let's see if this will scroll. Yes, it will. I know what I'll do. Here's what I'll do. I'm just going to have to do this the old-fashioned way. Let's go back to this page. Sorry, gang. I wish I wasn't having to do this way, but this is just how it's going. We're going to add we'll do a window, browser source. Jesus Christ, this is a pain in the ass. Good morning, MC.
Stop. Hammer time.
All right, we're going to just cancel this, and let's do this. God, what a pain in the ass. Get rid of that. Well, folks, something's going really screwy here, and I don't know what it is. And I wish I did, but I don't. So we're going to do it without the actual article. Anyway, the New York Times has an article called "The Times Called Officials in Every State No Evidence of Voter Fraud," which is an interesting way to start the article in particular, because as you read the article, they seem to contradict it very quickly. Now, their subheader here, it says the president and his allies have baselessly, so they're trying to forge, they're putting some opinion in right in the beginning of the article, because baselessly, you would assume that they made no basis for their argument, which, of course, when they say there's voter fraud, they have a basis for saying it. Now, the base that they say could or could not be incorrect, but certainly they have a basis for saying it. So baselessly is just trying to lead you to think in a different way. President and his allies have basically claimed that rampant voter fraud stole victory from him. Officials contacted by the Times say there were no irregularities that affected the outcome. So right there, listen to that sentence. The Times, the officials contacted said there were no irregularities that affected the outcome. But in the first part of the title, it says no evidence of voter fraud. No evidence of voter fraud versus no irregularities that affected the outcome. So right off the bat, they're kind of challenging their own title in the subtitle. And then they have a picture here that says Frank LaRose, a Republican who serves as Ohio State Secretary of State, reported no serious irregularities with voting last week. So now we have no irregularities that affected the outcome, which means there were some irregularities. There were no serious irregularities, which means there were some irregularities. I find great humor in this. Hey, wait a minute. I got an idea. Let me try something here. I'm wondering, is this exclusive to that article? No, the entire desktop is screwed, okay? That is really weird that this is doing this. On Friday the 13th, of course. Okay, well, we're just to keep going on. Anyway, so back to this article. At Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, election officials in dozens of states representing both political parties said there was no evidence of that fraud or other irregularities played a role in the outcome of the presidential race. So they contradicted themselves again. No irregularities played a role, but the title says no evidence of voter fraud. Now, maybe they don't count irregularities as voter fraud. Maybe that's the way they have these contradicting statements in it, okay? And then amounting to a forceful rebuke of President Trump's portrait of a fraudulent election. Now, again, in the title, it says, the Times called officials in every state, implying that every state told them the same thing. But wait a minute. It just says the Times called officials in every state. And it's interesting they use Ohio because Ohio's not in dispute at all. Trump won handily in Ohio. And then in this sentence that I read you just a second ago, over the last several, elected officials in dozens of states representing both political parties said there were no evidence of fraud, like irregularities played a role in the outcome of the election. Well, wait a minute. But you called every state, implying that every officials in every state said what you're saying. But now it's only dozens of states. What about the states that you didn't talk to? And which states didn't you talk to? I'm curious. Continuing on, over the last several days, the president, members of his administration, congressional Republicans, and right-wing allies have put forth the false claim that the election was stolen from Mr. Trump, and have refused to accept results that showed Joseph R. Biden Jr. as the winner. Oh, that's the first time I've ever heard him add the junior. Good morning, Thomas Cleaver. How you doing? But top election officials across the country said in interviews and statements that the process has been a remarkable success despite record turnout and the complications of a dangerous pandemic. There's a great human capacity for inventing things that aren't true about elections, said Frank LaRose, a Republican who serves as Ohio's Secretary of State. The conspiracy theories and rumors and those things run rampant. For some reason, elections breed that type of mythology. Hey, we have a good example of that from 2016. So yeah, he's probably right. By the way, I do have my cup of reparations coffee. Everyone take a sip right now in the Salt Lake City, Utah cup. Steve Simon, a Democrat who is Minnesota's Secretary of State, said, I don't know of a single case where someone argued that a vote counted when it shouldn't have, or didn't count when it should. There was no voter fraud.
I see dead people.
No voter fraud.
I see dead people.
Not a single case where a vote, someone argued that a vote counted.
I see dead people.
When it shouldn't have.
I see dead people.
Or didn't count when it should.
I see dead people. I see dead people.
Kansas did not experience any widespread systematic issues with voter fraud, intimidation, irregularities, or voting problems. A spokesman for Scott Schwab, the Republican Secretary of State in Kansas, said in an email Tuesday, we are very pleased with how the election has gone up to this point. Okay, and who's disputing Kansas? I don't know.
I see dead people.
The New York Times contacted the offices of top election officials in every state on Monday and Tuesday to ask whether they suspected or had evidence of illegal voting. Officials in 45 states responded directly to the Times. For 4 of the remaining states, the Times spoke to other statewide officials or found public comments from the Secretary of State's. None reported any major voting issues.
I see dead people.
Well, okay, none reported any major voting issues. How about, were there any minor voting issues? Anything that you could, you know what? Because we already know, it's been reported as a fact that there was a county in Michigan where they had to switch 6,000 votes from President Biden to President Trump. 6,000 votes. Could you imagine if in the year 2000 they would have had to change 6,000 votes in the state of Florida? That would have been a problem. But they're making it sound like there were no problems anywhere. We'll get to that story too, because they wrote an article about that too. You know what I'm going to do? Give me 1 second. I'm going to refresh something here. I'm going to have some dead air for about 15 seconds. Sorry, guys. All right, I should be back now. Sorry about that. I'm just trying to refresh to get this screen going, but for some reason it didn't work. So I don't know what's going on with the old program here. So anyway, let's get back into this article. Imagine 6,000 votes in 2000. Anyway, statewide, officials in Texas did not respond to repeated inquiries, but a spokesman for the top election official in Harris County, the largest county in Texas with a population greater than many states, said that there were only a few minor issues and that we had a very seamless election. On Tuesday, the Republican Lieutenant Governor, Texas, Dan Patrick, announced a $1 million fund to reward reporters of voter fraud. Some states describe small problems common to all elections, which they said they were addressing. A few instances of illegal or double voting. What's the headline? The Times called officials in every state no evidence of voter fraud. Wait a minute. So there's voter fraud at every election? I mean, that's a contradiction. No evidence. Okay, whatever. Officials in all states are conducting their own review of the voting, a standard component of the certification process. Perhaps none of the Trump campaign's claims received more attention than an allegation made over the weekend in Pennsylvania by Rudolph Giuliani, the president's personal lawyer. On Saturday, Mr. Giuliani held a news conference in the parking lot of a Philadelphia landscaping company and claimed that the election in the city had been rife with fraud. The office of the state's top law enforcement official said there's no evidence to support Mr. Giuliani's claim and that the election in the state was fair and secure. Now, I am not giving you an opinion on whether or not that's correct.
Why the fuck you lying?
But there's so many little contradictions in this article of itself. That's what I don't get, but they're desperately trying to tell you there's nothing to see here. Good morning. I saw the Canadian guy, People's Front of Canada. Remember, PDawg, these people don't deal well with facts. Yeah, anyway. So that's that article. And then today, that was from, what was that from? What's the date? That's the 13th. This article was from, this is from a few days ago. Now that today, actually yesterday, they put out another article. Election officials directly contradict Trump on voting system fraud. A group of federal and state and local officials working with the Department of Homeland Security Agency declared flatly that the election was the most secure in nation's history. Are you kidding me? Hours after President Trump repeated a baseless report, again, they say baseless. Okay, this is what he tweeted, that a voting machine system deleted 2.7 million Trump votes nationwide, and he was directly contradicted by a group of federal, state, and local election officials who issued a statement on Thursday declaring flatly that the election was, quote, the most secure in American history. Goodness me, in American history. Wow.
Wow.
But that amounted to a remarkable, let's see. The rebuke in a statement by a coordinated council overseeing the voting systems used around the country never mentioned Mr. Trump by name. You know, I don't understand here. Okay, they did mention, okay, they started by calling him President Trump. I was kind of wondering why they keep calling him Mr. Trump and not President Trump. The rebuke in a statement by a coordinated council overseeing the voting systems used around the country never mentioned Mr. Trump by name, but it amounted to a remarkable corrective to a wave of disinformation that Mr. Trump has been pushing across his Twitter feed. No, here's the thing. He's been tweeting what other people are saying. Now, who knows? Anyway, a statement was distributed by the Department of Homeland Security's Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, which is responsible for helping states secure the voting process. Coming directly from one of Mr. Trump's own cabinet agency, it further isolated the president in his false claims that widespread fraud cost him the election. The statement came as a previously unified Republican Party showed signs of cracking on questions of whether to keep backing the president. Across the country, elected officials have said the vote came off smoothly with no reports of systemic fraud in any state, no sign of foreign interference in the voting infrastructure, and no hardware or software failures beyond the episodic glitches that happen in any election. And then they say, President-elect Joseph R. Biden Jr.'s lead. Now, wait a minute. While they can project as the media that he's president-elect, one, there's no official title president-elect, but two, he's not officially president-elect until the ballots, until the official certification of the vote happens on December 14th. But that's okay. They do give, they like to call him Mr. President-elect, okay? And his lead in the popular vote has expanded more than 5 million, which is irrelevant. Irrelevant. Doesn't matter one iota what his lead in the popular vote is, because the popular vote only matters within each state. The popular vote does not elect the President of the United States, regardless of what some people like to think it should. The states vote for the President of the United States. The popular vote only matters in your state, how your state is going to vote for the President of the United States. Got it? I know you guys are much smarter than some of these people, but anyway. So anyway, the New York Times is putting article after article, wanting to make sure that you know there's nothing to see here. Now, meanwhile, little update, and I'm really bummed I can't show my damn desktop. You know what? I'm gonna try one more thing here. Tell you what, I'm gonna put you on a little pause here. I will be, if I can find it, I'll be right back. All right. Well, I'm gonna have to figure it out when I'm not on the air. Anyway, so let's keep going here. Got a little more to go through, and we'll go with this. So a little bit of update on some of the states, and I'll just use JJ Sefton's thing here. Blame it on the Bossa Nova. Yeah, I gotta tell you. What's up, PDawgKnight Chat? Oh, good morning, Nathan Payton, and hey, Larry, how you doing? Renee Mayette, and I'm not sure who else has jumped in since I've been doing the Spambot 22. What's up? Nice to see you all. So anyway, I'm gonna continue here, and we're just gonna go without seeing the actual articles. Real quick before I do that, thank you, Cynical Lindsay, Tyler F, Swirl Blue, Mitch the Ripper, Maddie the News Chick, Pekka Fairley, Cindy Rochelle, everyone who has tweeted out the show. I appreciate that. And or send it out on social media. You can hit the share button down there and put it out wherever you want to put it. And also, donations through Streamlabs in the description down below, or YouTube Super Chat, Venmo, Cashapp, everything's in the description down below. All right, I'm going to continue here. Let's see. All right, let's get into the next one. Oh, so a little bit of update on what's happening in some of the states. I've got several articles here going on with the first one being, Uncle Bobbity, how you doing? Bossa Nova, even Chevy Nova. Better than Chevy Nova. Okay, cool. So JJ Sefton's intro today kind of gives you a little bit of an update. Good morning, kids. Friday the 13th, and the weekend is here. What that portends for we the Americans or for the enemy is anyone's guess. But as per usual, I'm feeling a bit more upbeat insofar as some important things are breaking our way. Let's dive right in. First up, a Pennsylvania lower court ruling about the usurpation of the state legislature's authority in overseeing elections went in the team Trump's favor. This from, a quote from the American Thinker. Admittedly, the decision affects only a small number of voters, and it comes from a lower court judge. Nevertheless, it's important for two reasons. First, when the Supreme Court had only 8 justices, the fact that 4 justices supported it, Buchvar, her decision meant that matter was bounced back to the state without Supreme Court review. Levitt's decision may help strengthen the Supreme Court resolve when this issue returns to them, as well as multiple other non-legislative election changes in Pennsylvania and other states. Second, it is yet another decision in a growing trend of courts acknowledging that only a state's legislature can change voting rules. And of course, all these constitutional rule changes have favored Democrats in the past. With every decision, more pressure goes on the other judges to abide by this crucial constitutional structure. More crucially, we had revelations about this Dominion voting system's glitch / feature that automatically switched perhaps tens of thousands of votes for Trump to Biden, not only in the disputed states, but likely nationwide. We also have lawsuits flying in Michigan, the first from True the Vote, alleging thousands of dead people.
I see dead people.
Felons and other illegal votes were cast all over the state, and another involving Wayne County and literally pallets of ballots. This little blurb from The Federalist. Quote, a lawsuit alleges that the 40,000 vote dump is not the only suspicious one observed on November 4th in Detroit. Poll challenger Robert Cushman attested that on November 4th, 2020, at approximately 9 p.m., he was surprised to see numerous boxes of ballots arrive at the TCF Center in the evening. I estimated these boxes contained several thousand new ballots. When they appeared, he noticed that none of the names on these new ballots were of registered voters, which poll workers were supposed to verify. I saw the computer operators at several counting boards manually adding the names and the addresses of these thousands of ballots into the QVF system, his affidavit states. When I asked what possible justification was to counting ballots from unknown, unverified persons, I was told by election supervisors that the Wayne County Clerk's office had checked them out. Oh, great! Thank you very much. Subsequently, Cushman challenged the entire process encompassing these thousands of ballots. So that was from. I actually have these articles open. We'll go into some of them, but not read the whole thing. One thing is clear: none of these incidences are trivial. Oh, wait a minute. What was the New York Times said? No evidence. No evidence. There's over. I think they have up to almost 300 affidavits now of irregularities. So we just got to see. Anyway, in any case, and although like all of you, I have zero. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back. One thing is clear. None of these incidences is trivial, one-offs, flukes, or glitches. Each one is a massive and clearly and through the outcome in favor of Biden in each state, forgetting redress from the courts or state legislatures for the moment. At a minimum, a complete, thorough hand recount and audit of every single vote that was cast must be conducted in the full view of observers from both sides. It is within President Trump's legal right, and more importantly, the over 72 million people who cast legitimate ballots for him to have this done. Of course, vile inheritance like the enemy's Michigan AG, this Dana Nessel fool, says doing so is, wait for it, guess what she says it is. I'm going to give you 10 seconds. You're going to probably be typing furiously what she says it is, and then I'm going to tell you the answer. And then as the chat pops up 20 seconds later, because I'm about 20 seconds behind, I'm going to see if you got the right answer. Yes. Dana Nessel says auditing the vote is racist. Oh, when you toss out the fraud, how much you want to wager that President Trump garnered by far the greatest number of legitimate black votes for a Republican candidate in Detroit and in all of Michigan in probably 60 years, and enough to give him an undisputed victory? Lest we forget John James, who more than likely was robbed of victory as well. A black man. Let's see. Oh, white supremacy. That's close enough, Scotty. Yeah, it's racist to count the votes. Anyway, in any case, and although like all of you, I have zero inside dope, the preponderance of physical and forensic evidence that proves not only fraud, but a coordinated attempt to outright steal the election keeps growing and growing. Category A is the physical and digital evidence of the attempt to throw the election via the mail-in ballot scam under cover of the phony pandemic lockdowns, and when the enemy saw that Trump was actually going to beat the cheat and by a wide margin. Category B, the forged ballots and digital shenanigans via thumb drives that flooded the zone after 6 states simultaneously shut down the count, kicked out the observers, locked the doors, covered the windows, and manufactured the margin of vote for victory for Biden. I'm sure plenty of you all find it strange that every single one of these 6 states that had the questionable counts all shut down their counting at the same time, like literally simultaneously, all at 4 a.m. on the same morning, whatever time zone that we're in. It's amazing. They all shut it down at the same time and then all came back and miraculously had extra votes for Biden. But who knows? I mean, maybe those precincts where the votes were for Biden were just slow. They were on Nigerian time or something like that. I can say that because I'm half Nigerian. Nigerian time just means you kind of get there when you get there, and so do these votes. Anyway, with the evidence that continues to mount day by day, the calls for Trump to step aside. The evidence continues to mount day by day. Also, the calls for Trump to step aside grow louder and louder, cruder and more unhinged every minute he defies them. It's also a good indicator that they know he was robbed. And despite the enemy propaganda machines muzzling up the truth, most of America sees it and knows it. It's all there. The greatest crime in American political history, even if God in His mercy sees fit to grant us justice by granting this president his rightfully 1 second term, the damage to what's left of the American experiment may be permanent. Our political and legal system are so corrupted and our society is so irreconcilably divided that even with 4 more years of this president, I cannot see resolution, let alone reconciliation. And that right there is the greatest crime of all. But that said, no matter what happens, there's always a reason for hope. this president performed miracles in the face of our greatest enemy, an evil political party and movement that came from within. The situation in many ways is still in doubt in terms of this election and the life of the nation going forward. But I think he has, at minimum, awakened a lot of people heretofore asleep and even perhaps caused the scales to fall away from the eyes of others long thought in the enemy camp. Sippy McKinney, anybody? I have hope for deliverance from this nightmare, and I hope that even in the darkest of times, we will ultimately prevail. The wheels of justice grind slowly, but they grind very fine. Oops. There we go. So anyway, all right, I have a bunch of other articles here. I'm going to take my little commercial break right now. I'll be back in just 60 seconds. Hey everybody, it's me, Marty. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I hope you're enjoying the show. The Morning Night Live is sponsored by you, the viewers of the Morning Night Live. Please, if you have a moment, take time to share this stream by hitting that little arrow down below or up here if you're on a mobile. And please hit the like button. I know you like it, you're still here and you're still watching. And finally, if you want to support the show, you can do that through your donations and super chats, which are in the description down below. You can do that at Streamlabs link or at PDawgKnight.live. That every little bit helps. And thank you for watching. Now back to the show. All right, and I'm back. I'm going to try one more little thing here, which I'm just getting to work on here, and we'll see if this works. And at least we can see articles. All right, just a second here. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Let's go window capture. We'll try that. Second yard. Sorry about the. Enjoy the music while I'm dinking around with this crap. Okay, let's try this. We'll just have to change the. All right, next article. There we go. And we'll do American Thinker. Well, that's not even working. Okay, I have no idea what's going on here. Neither of my displays are being recognized. All right, well, we're going to skip it. Sorry about that, folks. I'm having these technical issues, and I can't do anything about it until I shut this completely down and start over. So anyway, so let's get into a guide, what's called a guide to understanding election fraud from the American Thinker. I'll pop the article in the chat right now if you want to follow along. So there's that. So almost half of American voters believe that the 2020 presidential election result reflects a massive fraud in several states, including but not limited to Pennsylvania, Michigan, Nevada, Georgia, and Wisconsin. So this post explains the most common types of election fraud. Voting has two phases. Phase 1 occurs before the votes go into the computing tallying system. And phase 2, good morning, Fifey writes, phase 2 happens inside the computer. There is mounting evidence that Democrats committed fraud in both of these phases. Phase 1 results are ineligible ballots that are fatally flawed and cannot legally be counted. For years, Democrats have been making phase 1 fraud easier. Here are some of the methods they've used, often justifying them on minority civil rights grounds. In fact, Democrats using black people to try to make their fraud easier. 1, motor voter registration. People are registered when they get a driver's license, creating a massive number of registered voters, most of whom don't vote, and in some cases, allowing illegal people who are not eligible to vote, as in foreign citizens to vote, because they don't ask. They say they send you a registration card. We saw an article from a person from Great Britain, from England, I should say, who they kept wanting to think they were sending voters registration. Refusing to clean up voter registration rolls, creating millions of registrations tied to people who died or relocated. That's the second one. Banning ID requirements at polling places. Now, interesting, in Minnesota, at least in my precinct, they made me tell them the first 3 letters of my first name and the first 3 letters of my last name. They would look up my registration and required me to tell them the address. So they did verify who we were in my precinct, but they don't do that everywhere else. Where my daughter voted, she said she just had to tell her name and address. They said, okay, here it is, and then gave her a ticket. So anyone could have said her name and address. Also, banning poll workers from comparing signatures on ballot sign-up sheets or mail-in envelopes to those on record. Another one, same-day registration. The problem with same-day registration is they're supposed to segregate those ballots. I'm sorry that I had to use the word segregate. I know that's racist, but to make sure that those people who are doing same-day registration are eligible. Extending voting to a month-long period. Oh, yes. Let's expand it out for how long you can get as many people to, drive their ass to the polls, whatever. Absentee voting for anyone who desires instead of for specific reasons. Mailing ballots to every registered voter, because those can be stolen. Voting only by mail, which they do in a couple states. Ballot harvesting, which allows activists to collect ballots from voters and submit them. Harvesters can fill out ballots or dispose of the ballots with which they disagree. And judges and bureaucrats extending the voting deadline, as they did in Pennsylvania, which seems to be being rolled back by the court. And then all of the above Democratic initiatives make the following types of fraud easier, particularly when paired with the chicanery at the polling site, such as banning poll observers. 1, people voting using another person's ballot. Oh, they would never do that. Postal workers backdating mailed-in ballots. Oh, no. That guy recanted. Insiders obtaining and completing blank ballots en masse. Oh, would they ever do that? Oh, wait a minute. They got how many votes? All for Biden, with only the presidential race named and all in the same batch of votes? How'd that happen? Throwing out Trump votes. Oh, they wouldn't do that. Come on, man.
That's right.
Come on, man.
Repeatedly feeding the same ballots into the voting machines. This is the one where a hand count would come in handy, and we'll have to find out in some of these states. Who knows if they did it? Also, fake same-day registrations of non-existent voters. What did that guy say? The affidavit that they got a bunch of blank votes, and then the people entering them were just manually entering in names and addresses for the people that were on those ballots. And then throwing out mail-in envelopes to make it impossible to winnow out fraudulent ballots. Oh, like they did in Pennsylvania. Oh my goodness. But the New York Times said there's no evidence of any voter fraud in every state that they called, because they called every state. Didn't say they talked to every state, but they called every state. The above efforts required human agency on a ballot by ballot basis. Moreover, hand recounts will not catch them. So the same illegal votes that get counted, the Trump team has acquired thousands of affidavits proving these frauds. The huge numbers, though, occur when ballots get fed into computers. The primary computer systems used in America, Dominion and ESS, are vulnerable to hacking, and their information is poorly secured. Oh, by the way, now this is a long article. I'm not going to read the rest. You can read the rest. I'll put it in the chat again if you want to read the rest of it. But I speaking of hacking, I'm pretty sure it was the New York Times. Let me think about this. Oh, yes. You're not going to be able to, damn it. I can't show this. This ruins my day. All right. I wonder if I can compare. I'll just post it. If any of you are on Twitter, here's a link to a tweet by Edward Snowden of New York Times. Well, here, you can at least listen to it. Hang on.
All cybersecurity experts who have given electronic voting machines any thought agree. These machines have got to go. To show you why, I'm running a mock election using
tell you what, the link I'm sending you is a New York Times expose on how voting machines can be hacked. And remember they had that project where they said they sent in some young hackers and a bunch of the young hackers could already hack into the voting machines. Anyway, I'm sorry, guys. I wish we'll figure out this problem as soon as I can. Anyway, moving on. By the way, there's been a lot of talk lately about how some of these people are bitching that the president hasn't conceded the election and there's not going to be a transition. He's hindering the transition process because as if the transition begins immediately that the media calls the vote, when in actuality, the votes are not certified till the 14th of December, and there is a constitutional process for the transition from one president to the next or to the one term to the next. Well, a good article in Front Page Magazine, which I will also link in the chat. Right. Oops. Hang on. How about I do that right? There we go. There is no presidential transition until Congress certifies the election. Even though votes are still being counted, Joe Biden declared that he is the president-elect, a shadow government office invented by Obama and invested with a pseudo-government seal, and he's been holding fake briefings and taking phone calls with foreign leaders already. Hi, Reese Donald. How you doing? The United States only has one president at a time. Maintaining a fake shadow presidency undermines the sitting administration to the American people and to foreign governments. It's illegal and inappropriate, so the Democrats are doing it anyway. Incoming presidents since Truman's day receive briefings, and since Kennedy's day get funding for their transition team. But according to the law, only once it's clear who won. The last time this happened, the Bush transition was blocked by Democrats until December. Let me repeat. The last time this happened, the Bush transition was blocked by Democrats until December. But the media is boosting its Biden cable network coup by threatening the head of the Government Services Administration. A week after the election, the media descended on Emily Murphy, the head of the General Services Administration, demanding that she release funds to a Biden transition. Well, wait a minute. There's a law that tells you when that happens, and it's not now. Media hit pieces like the New York Times, how Emily Murphy stands between Biden's team. Bloomberg, who is the GSA's Emily Murphy, Trump appointee holding up the Biden transition? And the Washington Post, Trump appointee at GSA declines to sign letter authorizing Biden transition. It personalized the issue and set up a lynch mob, swiftly leading to threats against her. It's still early in November. The media conveniently forgot the time its party blocked a presidential transition for over 4 weeks, not just through November, but into December. David Barham, the top donor who supported every one of their campaigns since 1992, and tech industry figure who had been appointed to the head of the GSA, didn't get this kind of treatment when he turned down transition funding to the Bush Cheney campaign after the 2000 election. Not only did Barham block funding until Florida's vote was certified, but he kept blocking it until the Supreme Court had made its decision, leaving very little time for any transition to happen. The Bush Cheney campaign pursued its own privately funded transition, as did Al Gore, the way presidential transitions used to work until the Presidential Transition Act changed all that. Despite this, Barham was never publicly attacked or threatened that Murphy is. Worse still, the media recently trotted out Barham to argue that the GSA should release transition funding to the Biden-Harris campaign. Come on.
Wow.
First off, all these media outlets who call the election have called it for Joe Biden. I think the winner is pretty clear, Barham recently insisted. Media outlets, it ought to go without saying, but no longer does, not pick presidents. Hi, cheeky bastard. How you doing? But as with so much else, the same media that amplified claims that the Gore votes were thrown out in Florida, that Secretary of State Katherine Harris discriminated against minorities, and that Jeb Bush had rigged the election for his brother, now yells that such claims are not only false, but dangerous, and must be censored at all costs. The media that allowed every Democrat to hold forth about the Florida election now won't even allow Republicans to speak. Democrats' claims of election fraud must be heard, but Republican claims are disinformation. Even while the Washington Post warns Republicans' claims of election fraud are dangerous, it just ran an article suggesting that Harris rigged the 2000 election to win an ambassadorship. It's dangerously irresponsible for Republicans to cast doubt on election results, but not for Democrats. And it's also dangerous for Republicans, but not for Democrats, to block a transition. Yet the arguments that Barham made to block GSA funds back then hold up very well today. With legal action being pursued by both sides, it's not apparent to me who the winner is, Barham had argued, until the results are clear, and as long as both sides are going to court, the results are not clear yet, GSA spokesman Beth Newberger had insisted. The legal standard for authorizing GSA transition, in the words of the Democrats, the end of legal action over the results of the election. As long as legal action is being pursued, including a trip to the Supreme Court, the GSA cannot and should not release funds to a transition. In congressional testimony, Barron took it further and cited an authoritative Democratic source. Congress made it perfectly clear that if there's any question of who the winner is in a close contest, this determination should not be made, Barron pointed out. He then quoted Representative Dante Fashel, the sponsor of the President's Transition Act. Fashel stated that, quote, if the administrator had any question in his mind, he simply would not make any designation in order to make the services available as provided by the Act. If, as an intelligent human being, and he has a doubt, he would not act until a decision has been made by the Electoral College or in Congress. So anyway, you can read the rest of the article. I put it there in the chat. I'm going to put it in the chat again. There's the rest of it. So there you go. Moving on. On this funky Friday, I hope the music is at a good level and you can still hear what the hell I'm saying. Good morning, Saint Fugi. Good morning, Check Your Logic. Good morning, Fight for Your Rights to Party. I just watched a little thing on the Beastie Boys being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. LL Cool J and Chuck D from Public Enemy were the people who inducted them. I thought that was pretty cool. Anyway, everyone take a sip. And we're going to keep going. Pennsylvania court rules. Oh, we're back to the Pennsylvania court. They ruled for the Trump campaign in late ballot ID case, further stating that the Pennsylvania Secretary of State lacked authority to extend a deadline for first-time vote-in-by-mail participants to show their ID. Oh, is this a different ruling? A state appellate court judge in Pennsylvania ruled in favor of the Trump campaign on Thursday, deciding that Secretary of State Kathy Boockvar lacked authority to extend a deadline for first. Okay, that's what I just said. The Philadelphia Inquirer reports A Pennsylvania appellate court handed President Donald Trump a minor victory Thursday, barring counties from including in their final vote tallies a small pool of ballots from people who had failed to provide required ID by a Monday deadline. In a 2-page order, the Commonwealth Court judge struck down a decision by the Wolf administration to give voters more time post-election to fulfill the ID requirement. Though state law only requires first-time voters to show ID at the polls, all voters who applied to vote by mail had to be validated their identification against state records by November 9th. Now, Bookvar had extended the deadline to November 12th, adding a 3-day extension after the Pennsylvania Supreme Court decided in a separate case that mail-in ballots could be received up to 3 days after the election. The change was upheld in a 4-4 decision by the U.S. Supreme Court. Actually, they decided not to. I think they decided not to bring it up. I can't remember because it was an actual Supreme Court decision. But anyway, the number of ballots affected by Thursday's decision, which were sequestered and not counted, is likely small. However, Republicans believe Thursday's ruling could help if the Supreme Court resists the issue, because the state judge found that Bookvar acted without authority from the state legislature. Republicans point out that the Constitution says that election rules are in the hands of the state legislatures. It does not say that state courts may change state laws about voting procedures. So that's the update in Pennsylvania. Let's see. And there's another. Here, I'll give you another article. I'm not going to read this one, but this is also from the Federalist. That Pennsylvania mail-in ballot snafu is ripe for the U.S. Supreme Court to intervene. I'm going to skip that one and just put that in the chat. Meanwhile, in Georgia, Barrasso, what's his name? John Barrasso warned that it is considered fraud for Democrats to encourage people to move to Georgia just to vote for Democratic senatorial candidates John Ossoff and Reverend Raphael Warnock in the runoff elections and then leave the state. Someone was suggesting this. Hello, L. Wolf. What's up? K. Shull, how you doing? And Special K on Acid, welcome back. So some people were saying that they were going to try to get a bunch of people to move to Georgia just so they could try to get those 2 Democratic senators elected. And apparently that's fraud. This is from Senator John Barrasso, who says, it's fraud to have people move to Georgia, register to vote, and then leave. If people are planning to make it their home, and the law is pretty clear on that, then they are eligible to vote. But it sounds like the Democrats are recruiting people, and you just saw Tom Friedman of the New York Times saying, move down and then leave. Yeah, Tom Friedman put it in writing. What an idiot. Barrasso said in an interview with Fox News, outnumbered overtime with Harris Faulkner. That is against the law, and we're going to have lawyers working on that to prevent that. But people across America need to know they do that, they're going to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, he said. I would show you the video, but clearly my YouTube is my shit's it's whatever. All right, let's move on. I'm really bummed about this today. We'll get it fixed though. In Michigan, we'll get caught up in Michigan. A lawsuit claims that 40,000 plus fraudulent ballots pumped through Detroit for Joe Biden. Eyewitness testified they saw approximately 40,000 irregular ballots arrive in vehicles with out-of-state plates during an early morning poll worker shift change November 4th. That's not even the half of it. A lawsuit filed on November 8th, Michigan alleges that Detroit, Michigan election officials oversaw and openly encouraged election fraud, totaling many tens of thousands of fraudulent ballots, plus other illegal election tampering. A complaint filed by an instated conservative nonprofit legal group alleges numerous instances of illegal and suspicious activity in the Democrat stronghold encompassing Detroit, Wayne County. President Trump's legal team has filed a separate lawsuit alleging additional voting crimes and irregularities in the county. Current results of the presidential race in Michigan suggest an approximately 146,000 vote gap between President Trump and Joe Biden, and an 84,000 vote gap between U.S. Senate candidates Gary Peters and John James. The Associated Press and the state Democrats officials say Biden has won the state's electoral votes and that Trump's claim of fraud are insulting and inaccurate. Well, it's insulting. That's interesting. Well, I don't care if I'm insulting you. I want an accurate vote count. Biatch! Did I say that out loud? Yes, I did. Thank you, Paul Farrell. By the way, good morning to you also with the $2 super chat, who says, keep up the good work. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And I will get these technical glitches fixed hopefully before Monday. I'm kind of bummed about that because now I can't show you a couple of videos I wanted to show you today. Very much appreciated. If you want to do super chat, you can do that through YouTube or do the Streamlabs donations through the Streamlabs link down below or at PDawgKnight.live. Thank you again, Paul Farrell. So Wayne County is estimated to have been the site of some 850,000 votes this year. If this lawsuit is accurate, however, a massive portion of these votes are fraudulent. The Great Lakes Justice Center complaint provides eyewitness account and direct evidence that approximately 40,000 unsecured irregular ballots arrived in vehicles with out-of-state license plates at Detroit's only vote-counting location, TCF Center, in the wee hours of the November 4th morning during a shift change in election workers. Eyewitnesses signed affidavits saying that every one of this group's 40,000 ballots they saw was counted orally and attributed only to Democratic candidates, specifically Joe Biden. Other eyewitnesses signed affidavits under penalty of perjury stating they saw multiple other piles of ballots together, additionally numbering in the tens of thousands that were counted despite violating election law, sometimes at the direction of local election officials. This allegedly happened both before the election, during early voting, and during the election and subsequent vote count. Well, it's just one of those big city blues, right? After poll challengers started discovering the fraud taking place at the TCF Center, defendant election officials and workers locked credentialed challengers out of the counting room so they could not observe the process, during which time tens of thousands of ballots were processed, the complaint says. It also alleges that defendant election officials and workers allowed ballots to be duplicated by hand without allowing poll challengers to check if the duplication was accurate. In fact, election officials and workers repeatedly obstructed poll challengers from observing. Defendants permitted thousands of ballots to be filled out by hand and duplicated on site without oversight from poll challengers. Poll challenger Daniel Gustafson signed an affidavit stating that he was witness to tens of thousands of ballots being delivered to the TCF Center that were not in any approved, sealed, or tamper-proof container. Large quantities of ballots were delivered to the TCF Center in what appeared to be mail bins with open tops. Contrary to law, these ballot bins and containers did not have lids, were not sealed, and did not have the capacity of having a metal seal. And then I already read the thing about the 40,000 ballots, so I'm going to skip that. But if you want to read the rest of this, so yeah, plenty of eyewitnesses testified to that. Now, is this going to change things? Could it possibly for John James? I mean, even just that 40,000, that's an 80,000 vote swing. And what did he lose by? He lost by roughly 84,000 votes. Along with that, along with a hand recount, could that change another seat in the Senate? Possibly. Is the other boxes? Is the complete? They had the 40,000 there. They had another, thousands and thousands that they're disputing. Could that be the difference in that election in Michigan? Very interesting. Also, Michigan, GOP lawmakers called for a full audit of election results over serious allegations of error and voter fraud. This is from the Daily Wire. I'm linking every article today in the chat because obviously you can't see them, so if you want to follow along. Republican senators in the Michigan legislature calling on Michigan Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson to conduct a full audit of the 2020 general election before certifying the results of any race. The letter dated Friday, November 13th was released on Thursday and signed by two Republican state senators, Tom Barrett and Lana Thies. The senators requested that Benson delay certifying the election results over a spate of errors and allegations of voter fraud that have cast doubt on Michigan's election process. What's funny about that? What did the New York Times say? No evidence of voter fraud. Well, maybe not the voters, but the people counting the votes seem to have engaged in something. I was trying to do that frog thing and I spilled coffee all over myself. But anyway, take a sip. You know you want it. Take a sip. I can feel you. Oh, Morning Johnny Hellcat. The original viewer of the Morning Night Live is in the house. Everyone say hello to Johnny Hellcat. Anyway, the letter first cited a 6,000 vote error in election results for Michigan's Antrim County, noting that Antrim is just one of 47 counties in Michigan that use the software system at issue. Dominion voting systems to process their ballots. This is particularly concerning when at least one other Secretary of State, specifically Texas, refused to certify Dominion voting systems for use because the examiner could not verify that the system was safe from fraudulent or unauthorized manipulation. So you can read the rest of that article. I already linked it. Moving on to also in Michigan, True the Vote Law has a lawsuit. There's several lawsuits happening in Michigan. The election integrity group True the Vote is suing Gretchen Whitmer and the county officials in Wayne County, Washtenaw County, and Ingham County, Michigan, alleging that dead people,
I see dead people,
and felons voted illegally in the presidential election. The lawsuit filed Thursday is seeking to invalidate ballots in counties where they allege widespread illegal ballots and fraudulent ballot counting took place. The lawsuit cites reports claiming that about 10,000 dead people returned mail-in ballots to vote in Michigan. Now, this is not the 14,000 dead people votes that you've heard about earlier. This is 10,000 that are on a spreadsheet. I know Flex has had this spreadsheet that all have been cross-referenced with the voting system. Now, we don't know how many of those votes were counted, but they have a list of just over 10,000 records of dead people who requested mail-in ballots and returned them. Now that is a trick. 10,000. Let me repeat that. 10,000 dead people, many born in the middle 1800s, requested mail-in ballots. They were sent out and they were returned. They were submitted. They were returned. Wow. According to True the Vote's Catherine Engelbrecht, every illegal vote that is counted dilutes the voting rights of law-abiding American citizens and jeopardizes American trust in the electoral process. Enough is enough. True the Vote is taking a stand on behalf of Michiganders and all Americans and stop bad actors who are stripping away citizens' most basic rights by refusing to secure our elections process. We will take proper actions to end it, to put an end to it. Yeah, they should do that. Among evidence presented, the lawsuit claims that ballot counting was not transparent, dates on ballots were fraudulently changed, software glitches occurred, clerical errors occurred, illegal votes were cast, poll watchers were excluded from voting sites, ballots were wrongly backdated, and votes were dumped at counting sites. In one instance alleged in the lawsuit, a software glitch in Antrim County allegedly caused at least 6,000 ballots to be counted for a Democrat that were actually supposed to go to Republicans. Now, they fixed that. So, but anyway, you get the idea. Moving on. Next one. In Nevada. Now, Nevada was, I believe, called for Trump by, Gamer Verlaine, the reason I asked about Arizona earlier, apparently Arizona's been called for Joe Biden. Maybe you have some more information on that. Let's see. I got several notifications here. Anyway, in Nevada, the Trump campaign has released a list of over 3,000 incidents where they claim voter fraud occurred in Nevada using the addresses of active military members and their families, according to The Hill. The list reportedly contained around 3,062 instances of people who are registered to vote in Nevada. However, according to the list, they are living elsewhere, either overseas or elsewhere in the United States, reported The Hill. Now, this one's interesting. Good morning. Good morning to You Are a Ridiculous Lunatic. This is interesting. And good morning, Donatella Slapperfellow. This is interesting because military people are able to vote in their own state. I wonder where this article is going. However, according to the list, they're living elsewhere, either overseas or elsewhere in the United States, reported The Hill. It is not uncommon for military members to vote via absentee ballot while being stationed elsewhere, as reported by CNN. It's not some several privilege to allow service members, their families, or others who are serving their country away from home to vote. Are reported some military spouses in Nevada were falsely identified as fraudulent voters. Okay, let's see. So our quote, our voter registration is in Nevada. Our cars are registered in Nevada. Our licenses are in Nevada. Amy Rose, whose spouse is currently stationed in California, told military.com during an interview, "We just don't live there because the military has told us to move somewhere else. To see my integrity challenged along with other members of the military being challenged this way, it is a shock. And to potentially be disenfranchised because of these actions, that's not okay." I will agree with you there. Or agree with her there. President Donald Trump's campaign reportedly declined to comment when contacted by Hill. In my role as chairman of the National Defense Committee, I reached out to the campaign and the Republican National Committee. I believe that these military votes were included in the complaint mistakenly, and I believe a modified complaint will be filed to redact this, said Bob Kerrey, chairman of the National Defense Committee, reported to The Hill. So here's what happened, and I know I heard about this, okay? It's not just these 3,000. They're among a list of votes improperly cast. The list is about 12,000 or 13,000 votes that they were disputing, and these 3,000 military votes were included because of the other address. Now, the other ones in this list were from people who live in California. There are a lot of, let's just put it this way. There's a lot of people who live in California but own property in the Las Vegas area. And these people who live in California but have a second home in Las Vegas will sometimes, now I'm not saying they're cheating anybody but like the IRS or anything, but they use their Las Vegas address as their primary address because there's a tax advantage to it. But then a lot of these people who live in California, who also have a home in Nevada, they are not necessarily Las Vegas, could be Tahoe, could be any of the other resort areas, but the people in California who have a second home in Nevada, apparently some of them have a tendency to vote in both states, thus doing something that's felony. And unfortunately, when they found this list of people, or they figured out that these people who have residence in Nevada and other places, unfortunately, about 3,000 of the list of, I think it might have been 18,000. I can't remember the number on this particular one, but about 3,000 of these happen to be people who are in the military, who have a different or are living somewhere else because of their military service, which is perfectly normal for people in the military who have a primary residence in a state, but they're deployed or moved somewhere else for whatever reason to only vote in their own state. So I understand why some of these people are upset. Okay, all right, moving on. Let's see. I got about 10 more minutes. Oh, so let's get into a couple other things here. It never rains in Southern California. Sing that song. Yeah, boy. Selected boy, how you doing? All right. The Nevada side of Lake Tahoe is shit. Well, let's just say let's just say it's a little more flamboyant on the Nevada side of Lake Tahoe. So a couple things we'll end with. Joe Manchin is in the news, and apparently everyone's favorite, no longer fresh. Well, she's still a freshman, creature, even though she won't be for long. She got reelected. AOC is not. Let's just say that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is not happy with Senator Joe Manchin. Senator Joe Manchin, the Democrat from the great state of West Virginia, who says court packing is dead in the water, and the Democrat who dealt the killing blow, AOC is not happy. On Monday, Joe Manchin, Democrat from West Virginia, put the final nail in the coffin of a far-left hopes that the Democrats could pack the Supreme Court and abolish the Senate filibuster in 2021. Manchin doubled down on his pledge. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was none too pleased, while Senator Ted Cruz, he voiced skepticism. Manchin, I commit tonight, and I commit to all of your viewers and everyone else that's watching. I want to allay those fears. I want to rest those fears for you right now, because when they talk about whether it will be packing the courts or ending the filibuster, I will not vote to do that. Manchin told Fox News' special report with Brett Baer. By the way, Fox News is hurting right now. I don't know if you've noticed, but their ratings are tanking. They've been below CNN during the day a couple days. Anyway, even if Democrats somehow win both Georgia's Senate runoff on January 5th, giving Democrats 50 seats plus a tiebreaker with Kamala Harris as the vice president, more likely outcome, although the presidential results are contested, Manchin pledged to oppose the more radical policies. The senator doubled down on his claim in an interview with the Washington Examiner's Selena Zito on Wednesday. Under no circumstances would I support packing the court or ending the filibuster if there is a 50-50 tie, Manchin told Zito. The senator also voiced his opposition to far-left proposals like defunding the police and Medicare for all. The senator defend my butt, Manchin declared. What we should be doing is funding more money to the police, educating and protecting them better. Here's where they take a team education, so they know where the social changes are happening in the neighborhood. And that's what we should be doing with police. Manchin crossed the line into profanity when discussing Medicare for all, the socialized medicine plan of Bernie Sanders. Hell, we're not able to take care of the Medicare for some that we have earned it. I said, Christ, do you want Medicare for all? You better take care of some you already owe it to, the senator said. Next of all, let's work and clean up the Affordable Care Act. Let's get some Republicans to help us truly get a good health care bill. Some people want to know what we stand for. These are the things we've always stood for. Manchin shared the Examiner article explaining his position to fund the police, defend my butt. I'm a proud West Virginia Democrat. We're the party of working men and women. We want to protect American jobs and health care, he tweeted. We do not have some crazy socialist agenda, and we do not believe in defunding the police, he added. So damn, he doubled and tripled down. Wait, Joe Manchin, are you sure? Well, never mind. And then And then AOC, I can't even show you this because I want to show you this picture. If you haven't seen it, it's on Twitter. AOC did not take kindly to Manchin's remark. She responded with a picture of herself glaring at Manchin as he clapped for President Donald Trump during a State of the Union address. Whatever. Anyway, she's a child. Seriously. Hello, hypnagogic monk. I didn't say hi to you even though I saw your name about 10 minutes ago. Let's go on. Just a couple more things. Oh, and now, let's just say that AOC is not the only progressive who's not happy right now because he's gone. The DNC will get rid of him. I don't know. He might drop out himself. I wouldn't be shocked. I never would have been shocked if he had said, you know what? I'm just going to join the Republicans because the people. Look, someone had also suggested making Manchin a part of the cabinet or something like that, but then West Virginia would just put an actual Republican in there instead of Manchin. That's my opinion. TC Ball, what's happening? Progressive, but the AOC is not the only progressive who's unhappy. This article from the Daily Wire, I'll link it in the chat. Progressive purge, Sanders, Warren being frozen out by Team Biden, according to a report. Now, I don't like these according to reports, But it seems like the people mentioned for cabinet positions in the Biden administration haven't really included any. In fact, they've included more Republicans than progressives as part of a possible Joe Biden cabinet for the possibly soon-to-be president-elect, sort of, kind of, until the lawsuits are over and the counting's done and it's certified. Did I qualify that enough? As turmoil from within the Democratic Party begins to bubble to the surface in the face of a lackluster showing in the House of Representatives, by the way, we're up to 9 flip seats in the House, and there's possibly another one that will be official today. Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden is seeking to freeze out far-left progressives like Senator Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, a report from Politico outlined. Leading Democrats, The Independent noted, have begun to privately acknowledge that far-left types like Sanders and Warren will hurt the party's chances in incoming elections, and thus the pair have been ruled out of filling cabinet positions and in a potential Biden administration. The Biden administration has to be a lot more sensitive of where you come from, and if you're looking at members of Congress. Democratic Representative Jerry Connolly told Politico, "We cannot afford to put any seats in jeopardy." Both Sanders and Warren have aligned themselves with the so-called democratic socialism. Oh, you mean they're communist? Calling for taxpayer-funded free college and socialized medicine, among other costly proposals. Because they would be free if they implemented free college and free healthcare and all this free stuff. It wouldn't cost us anything, would it? The report of their exclusion from a potential Biden cabinet highlights Democratic Party fracture and signals their apparent move forward, as does a recently conference call following the 2020 election, where freshman Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger, a Democrat from Virginia, reportedly unloaded on the hard left of the party for echoing chants to defund the police and openly supporting socialism. The Daily Wire reported on the leak call, "No one should say defund the police ever again," said Spanberger, reports Politico. "Nobody should be talking about socialism." Other Democrats on the phone call also spoke out about the effects of the defund police rhetoric and on their congressional races, according to CNN. So anyway, long story short, progressives that helped get Joe Biden elected are pretty pissed off right now. Hello, BG. With the potential, almost certainly possible, but not quite yet until the votes are certified, President-elect Joe Biden. And that has upset Bernie Sanders. Hello, Faithless. Bernie Sanders blasts corporate Democrats for rejecting far-left policies. They are dead wrong. Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont blasted corporate Democrats for rejecting far-left policies in the wake of their losses in the U.S. House of Representatives, reflecting the bitter divide between Democrats as moderate members blamed far-left proposals for their party's defeat. In an op-ed published Wednesday, Sanders praised the work of the progressive community for bringing Joe Biden over the finish line, but admitted that the blue wave did not materialize, calling the results in both the House and Senate races disappointing. In the days following, there have been reports of Democratic infighting between moderates and the radical left. Good! Hi for a kitten. We have to commit to not say, we have to commit to not saying the words defund the police again, Abigail Spanberger told her colleagues. We've already heard that. Also, House Majority Whip Jim Clyburn also expressed concern over the radical rhetoric, telling colleagues that they are not going to win if they run on Medicare for all, defund the police, and socialize medicine. But Sanders disagrees. Now, with the blaming game erupting, corporate Democrats are attacking the so-called far-left policies like Medicare for All and the Green New Deal for election defeats in the House and the Senate. They are dead wrong. Sanders wrote, adding that 112 co-sponsors of Medicare for All won their races. Another 98 co-sponsors of the Green New Deal were on the ballot in November, and all of whom minus one won their elections, Sanders added. The Vermont senator appealed to Fox News polls, which have come under intense scrutiny over the course of the election, which found that a majority favored changing to a government-run health care plan. Oh, really? And support increasing government spending on green and renewable energy. Sanders wrote, "The lesson is not to abandon popular policies like Medicare for All, the Green New Deal, living wage jobs, and criminal justice reform and universal child care, but to enact an agenda that speaks to the economic desperation being felt by the working class, Black, white, Latino, Asian American, and Native American. People are hurting, and they are crying for help. We must respond." You must kiss my ass, Bernie. Anyway, Sanders also listed some of the progressive... Wait a minute. What did he say here? Medicare for All, Green New Deal, living wage jobs, i.e. raising the minimum wage. Criminal justice reform. Okay, I'll take that one. And universal child care? Wait. Government-run universal child care? So we want to start indoctrinating them a little earlier? Yay! Oh, so exciting. All right, I'm almost done here. Sanders also listed some of the progressive policies approved by voters in individual states, such as the $15 minimum wage in Florida and tax increases in Arizona. Look, F this minimum wage nonsense, okay? There's no such thing as a one-size-fits-all minimum wage for the United States of America. A living wage are the wages that you can live on if you find a job that pays enough to get you to live on where you live. I don't need a $15 minimum wage in Bemidji, Minnesota. In fact, in most places in Minnesota where you go now, no one's paying minimum wage. Minimum wage is $7.25. I know for a fact that if I go to the Arby's up the street and apply for a job, the starting pay is $13 an hour. Okay? Because they need people to work. And they have a hard time getting people to work. So they pay $13 an hour at Arby's, which is not a high-skilled job. You can learn, but guess what? Kids can learn how to be can learn how to work in a job like that, and that's pretty good. Now, if there are places in some little podunk town of 300 people that has a minimum wage job, but the cost of living in that little town is probably not as high as it is living in New York City or Los Angeles or San Francisco or Cincinnati or Chicago or Miami, Florida, and those places want to enact a minimum wage of $15 an hour or $22 an hour or $85 an hour, go right ahead. But guess what? The businesses in your state are going to leave. And they're going to come to somewhere in Middle America where they don't have to do that shit. Just saying. But Sanders continued. The American people are sick and tired of seeing billionaires on Wall Street become richer. While veterans sleep out in the streets, our infrastructure crumbles, and young people leave school deeply in debt. Don't go to school. Don't go to that school then. Why are you going to that school if you're going to leave deeply in debt? Or don't major in any major that ends in the word studies. Because you'll have $100,000 in debt when you leave school, and Starbucks doesn't pay enough to support your degree that ends in the word studies. Unless you're going to go and get a PhD and go teach a course in a major that ends in the words studies. Otherwise, if your major ends in the word studies, you better go start studying menus. I'll tell you, when I was in the restaurant business, there was a lot of people who had degrees that ended in the word studies. Anyway, so the progressives aren't happy because Joe Biden's not going to play along, even though he suckered you into getting him some votes. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for me to go. I appreciate you being here at the Morning Night Live. Do me a favor, before you even think of clicking away, hit the like button, okay? The little thumbs up right down there. Okay, the thumbs up, except for Duck Dog, there'll be 1 dislike, and I should have 73 likes in there right now, okay? Because there's 73 people here. But, you know, I know some of you just are doing this in a place where it's not as easy, whatever. So, thank you so much for being here today at the Morning Night Live. Hopefully I'll get my technical issues fixed by Monday, but I am here again Monday because I'm here Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. And you know what? If you really like what we did, again, hit that like button. And if you really, really like what we do, throw some in the tip jar every once in a while. You don't have to do it every day, but I do appreciate all of you who do that. Thank you for the One Who and Paul Farrell and who were donors today. I appreciate that. It helps keep me going and it helps me pay for equipment. It helps me get some tech support for this damn program that's not working today. But anyway, that's all for today, people. I really need to leave. My name is PDawg Knight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye.
Hey, this is PDawg Knight, and thank you for watching today on the PDawgKnight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comments section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cashapp, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawg Knight, and I'm out of here.